What's going on, all you monster hunters out there? Your two favorite Godzilla enthusiasts are back today, and we are back to cover the entire season of Apple TV Plus's Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
We can use some help.
We are back to cover the entire first season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. It's the Apple TV Plus original show, obviously based on the Monarch from the Godzilla and now King Kong Skull Island movies. They've created a monster verse, and this is the first time it's been brought to the small screen. So me and you were really excited by the show. You know, we wanted to see some cool monster destruction, just like the movies have delivered. And we were both, excited too about the Russells being in it, Kurt and his son Wyatt leading it off. So we already covered the first episode, so we're just going to kind of go over the, a general picture of what the first season was all about. So in the first episode, obviously we went back in time to, Wyatt Russell's Lee Shaw way back in the day, and we found out that he was going to investigate the presence of Titans, and he was working close together with a woman there. And by the end of the episode, they ended up, basically falling into this big hole in the ground, basically, and it brought them down. And there are all these eggs of these Titans. So that's how the first episode ended. And right around the end of the first episode, or in the second episode, that's when you catch up with that character in the future. Lee Shaw, played by Kurt Russell, he's now older, and he's, obviously been affected by what happened at the end of that episode because, basically the girl that was with him and somebody that he was romantically interested in, seemingly just died right in front of him. So it's messed him up. And we're coming back up to this character who is kind of back in the story now because we see the discovery of this suitcase out in the ocean, and it has these Monarch files in it. And that kind of, takes us to closer to the present day.
You had the characters of Kate and Kentaro and a few others, but they kind of meet up with the older Shaw, played by Kurt Russell, and they're looking for their father. Where he's all up to. He goes missing essentially, so they're looking for him. They embark on this journey. They go out throughout the world and come across all these different monsters, which is definitely the best part of the show. What I was really watching the show for is the monsters fighting. So you get a lot of that and some pretty good CGI in the episodes where they do come across those monsters and eventually Godzilla.
Yeah, this show is very much more about the human characters than it is the monsters. The monsters are maybe 5 minutes of the episode, whereas this show is, showing us how Monarch was formed and, sort of the behind the scenes on this entity here that are dealing with all these Titans appearing around the world. But like you mentioned, yes, we do see some monsters, and when they're on the screen, yes, the CGI looks really good. There were some really interesting looking monsters that we hadn't seen before that they made specifically for the show. But who we want to see is Godzilla. And my biggest complaint with the show is they just didn't have enough of the monsters. I wanted more of that. But I guess I should have figured, with this being on TV rather than the big screen, it was going to be a smaller budget. They were only going to have a few minutes an episode to show us Godzilla. And especially in these early episodes, they basically used stock footage from the 2014 Godzilla film. And you didn't really see a lot new from the character. But eventually, as the episodes went on, there were a few towards the end there that was, all new Godzilla action. And that was really, really spectacular and cool. And I'd like to see more of that. But I think this show's, mainly going to tell you about the human element.
I wasn't really looking forward to that. It's a very talky show, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more action and more monsters showing up, and it's the opposite. So maybe that's why I wasn't really 100% into it. I wasn't, as excited about the show as I was, other shows I was watching. But, it's a good looking show. It's visually appealing. Having Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell in the show together. It's amazing. You know, I love both actors, and supporting cast is good too. And you know, going from back in the day to present time and kind of going back and forth, that does get a little confusing at times, and you kind of get lost in it a bit because going back and forth. But they finally kind of ironed that out towards the end of the series. The last two episodes are definitely the best, in my opinion, of this season, and that's really where the stakes are high, and you see some really cool monster fighting scenes.
Yeah, they finally give you what you want towards the end of the season. You know, they finally hit their stride, we'll say, in those last two episodes. If we get more episodes like that in a season two, if there is indeed a season two, I can't remember if it's been renewed yet or not. But if we see more of that, what we saw in those last two episodes, then I think the show has a chance to move on and, you know, bring us more into the fold. Like you mentioned, there's just a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking, a lot of backstory. And yes, you also mentioned the switching back and forth between the time periods. It did get confusing because you'd be in one place and then, you know, for most of the episode, and then it would go back and forth. It was hard to follow at times of which character we're thinking about. And yeah, so that was one of my major gripes here. But yes, you know, seeing Kurt and Wyatt on the screen together as the same character, that's worth watching the show just alone there. You know, Kurt Russell, a legend in tons of movies, especially back in the 80s that we love him from, and, you know, still being this, you know, handsome older man now and can still hold his own. You know, he's on screen and still commands the screen. He's still a bona fide movie star. And, you know, now that his son's doing movies, it was really cool to see the two of them be able to play the same character. And, you know, I'm sure that was just a thrill for the both of them to be on set together, you know, father and son. Most people in this life won't get to do that, be on a movie set and play the same character. That's pretty fantastic right there. So overall, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, it gives you glimpses of greatness there, especially towards the end. Kurt and Wyatt are great. It's just there's too much dialogue and it bogged it down a little too much for me. But still, I'm going to give this show here a recommendation for sure. I'm going to give Monarch Legacy of Monsters a 3 out of 5 Godzilla hair pieces.
I mean, hell, we got a Godzilla show on Apple TV Plus. I mean, I can't complain about that. In comparison to Godzilla -1, that movie's incredible, and the show's just character study, I guess. Not as good in comparison, but, you know, entertaining. You know, I'd say it's worth at least one watch. If you guys are fans of Godzilla, give it a watch. Especially Kurt Russell, Wyatt Russell together playing the same character. I think that's phenomenal. Something I thought I would never see, but yeah, they're really great in this role, playing the same character. Supporting cast is great. CGI was pretty good for the most part, and just a little too talky for me, and a lot of going on with exposition. So I think more monsters fighting, more, you know, Godzilla, I think it would have been a better show all around for me. So that being said, I'm going to give Monarch Legacy of Monsters, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 Kurt Russell hair pieces.
So we want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of Monarch Legacy of Monsters? Let us know in the comment section below. And please don't forget to subscribe. Also follow along with us on all our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and X. And don't forget our website, Cinephellas.com, and you can get all those and follow us for the latest and greatest in TV movie news and reviews.
Also, check out our YouTube channel right here. Me and this guy and the rest of the Cinephellas crew are always yapping about TV shows and movies, podcasts, and everything in between. We also got a giveaway coming out here, and February 1st, we're going to be giving away the Mad Men series digital code. So enter in that contest for your chance to win that beautiful set right there. One of the greatest shows of all time.
So thank you guys so much for watching our review of the entire first season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. If there's a season 2, you can bet your sweet asses we'll be back here to review that for you guys too. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until the next Cinefellas TV review, I'm Uncle Henry Russell.
And I'm Uncle Logan Myers, signing out until the next TV review. Cheers!